Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Reality Reads, and welcome to another episode of the Reality Report. This has been a crazy busy week for anyone that watches reality TV extensively. We have a lot to discuss, and we're going to be joined by a special guest today. Let's go. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts and opinions on The Traitors finale and reunion. We're also going to be joined by my friend Reality Ally to discuss House of Villains. And if you want to know my thoughts on Survivor and Ally's thoughts as well, you'll need to go to her channel so you can get all of our thoughts on the Survivor 50 premiere. Let's start with The Traitors. So, Traitors finale. I feel like all of us collectively, really from early on in the season, knew that this was Rob's game to lose. He had this game wrapped up. And I am always going, not always, because we never know how someone's going to do, but as of right now, I am still saying that Cirie is our best US traitor. I actually would love to do a comparison of Rob's game and Harry from UK season 2. I would love to see a comparison done of their games. I think that they're more so on even playing field rather than Rob and Cirie. I'm not sure how much you can compare Harry and Rob though, because it's not like it's civilian versus celebrity, but still, that's something that I might potentially do down the line. The finale episode, I mean, it was pretty good. There was so many times for Maura to make a different decision and totally turn this game upside down. And every time I was kind of hoping that she would. And it just never happened, unfortunately. I mean, yes, there were obviously Tara and Johnny had figured out that Rob and Eric were the traitors, but by this point, they didn't have the numbers to do anything about it. And I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people give Tara and Johnny a lot of credit. But when there are only 5 people left in the game, and you're choosing 2 people to be the traitors, and you know that 2 out of the 5 aren't traitors, your odds of getting something right now is pretty good. The odds are definitely in your favor. So I'm really not giving them all that much credit like other people are doing. But they were right. They were right. So I will at least say that. But I'm seeing people act like they're some of the greatest faithfuls ever, and I'm like, are we forgetting how many times they were wrong and completely and totally way off base throughout the rest of this season where there were more options available? The challenge, I never care about this final challenge. This final challenge to me is just always, how can we get you as close to $250,000 that we promised as possible? Like, do I really think that Rob finished this challenge within 5 seconds of the timer running out? No, I don't think there was a timer available. I think it was just, as long as you guys can complete all of these things, you will get a lot of money added to the pot. Whatever. I don't really care about the missions on the show, genuinely. If they wanted to cut the missions out, I would be fine with it. So we see on the final roundtable that they banished Johnny. This was not a surprise at all. You know, I will, the part of this episode where I will give Tara credit is she was truly trying really hard to flip Maura. It doesn't end up working out, but I will say, like, she gave it a good effort. There's a lot of people that being in Tara's position would have just said, like, tossed their hands up and called it a day and said, like, I don't have the numbers. I have the answers, but I don't have the numbers. The game is over. I've lost. I give up kind of thing. Like, I'm just going to sit here until this game is actually officially ended for me. And Tara didn't do that. She was really trying to fight. But then we go to the Fire of Truth, and this is where Eric messes up. Here's the thing. Maura's catching a lot of heat from a lot of people online talking about how she is really dumb and naive and gullible and all these things. Where is all that smoke for Eric? Because in my opinion, he's dumber. He's more gullible. He is more naive. Because you know for a fact Rob is a traitor. Which means you also know for a fact that he turned on both of his fellow traitors. And I am not someone that cares about that. I actually prefer that. I like the cutthroat game. I like seeing traitor on traitor and who can out traitor the other traitors. However, You have that information available to you, and you think that he is going to cut the person that he has been riding this whole game with? Your biggest blunder, my friend, was not convincing him to get rid of Mora at any other point, or from there, not trying to convince Tara and Johnny that Rob and Mora are the duo traitors, and that all of their talk of it has to be this pair is just projection. That's on you. You're the dum-dum. Your magical ears, your magical eyes, your very unmagical brain. And then the audacity to sit there in that confessional after Rob turns on Eric, and Eric has the confessional talking about he wouldn't be able to sleep at night if he were Rob because of all the things that he's done. You were in that turret too. You weren't in the turret as long, but you were still in that turret. You were still ending people's games. You were still being deceptive. Not as well, but you were trying. It's just funny. It's comical to me, but I do find it very, very annoying that Eric is not getting as much smoke as Rob is. A lot of people are feeling sorry for Eric and calling Mora a bunch of names and talking a lot of shit on Mora. Do I think that she was a little bit naive, a little bit too trusting? Yes. Eric, on the other hand, let's do some reflection because you had way more information available to you than what Mora had. And you made terrible choices. And that's why your game ended up the way that it did. And I think you deserve that ending that you got. So it was the outcome I was hoping for. But I will say, in the moment where we are down to Eric, Rob, and Mora, Alan throws in their little satchel things. And Eric throws green, Mora throws red, and then Eric sees that Rob throws red and he clicks what is about to happen. The fact that these two are about to team up and vote him out. And Eric really starts talking to Mora and being like, really analyze why you're still here. Really think. Like, I genuinely, again, was thinking that there was maybe some things starting to click for Mora. And I was panicking. I was in full-blown panic mode because I knew if by some chance this was the moment that Mora decided to wake up and realize that Rob was a traitor and she went with Eric to vote out Rob, and it was going to result in Eric being our sole traitor winner, I was going to have a full crash out. As I said, I'm pretty sure it was on last week's episode of this. You wouldn't hear from me to 5 to 7 business days if that happened. And I thought that that's exactly where we were headed. I genuinely was shaking in my boots, thinking that we were about to end up with an Eric win. It was only for about 10 seconds, but that 10 seconds was enough to do a lot of damage. I was stressed. I was very, very, very stressed. Thankfully, that is not what ended up happening. Mora and Rob stick together. And, for as much as people are talking about how, like I said, stupid, naive, gullible, whatever word you want to use to describe Mora, how a lot of people are talking about her, there's not enough people talking about how, like, she really wasn't that mad at him. She was kind of like, I mean, it sucks. You're an asshole. Good luck finding any woman that wants to trust you, even though he has no. But she was also like, it's the game, and you played it, and you played a good game. Like, there's some people on the cast that could kind of take a lesson from her book, if I'm being honest. She definitely had some moments where she got a little bit snippy with him, but this is not the worst reaction that we have seen, whether it be in the US or in the UK, of someone finding out that someone that they played the whole game with was a traitor. Molly from UK season 2 says hello. Andy still hates Cerie's guts. She is probably real steaming mad that she's got to hear about Survivor 50 right now. Does she have a TV? I don't know. Maybe her hatred for Cirie has, caused her to just eliminate television altogether. I don't know. what I am certain of is she probably still hates Suri to this day. Same for, what was his name? Quentin? Definitely. Definitely still not a fan of Suri. So I'm just saying, the sportsmanship, I think we need to give a little bit more kudos for that part of this. But overall, this was not my favorite season of The Traitors. I think this was a really good ending. It wasn't as good because Mora was such a good sport. It wasn't as good for me. Um, I'm just being honest. I like whenever they get a little bit more angry about finding out that they've been played this whole time. But I prefer this ending over a bunch of faithfuls throwing green and no excitement at all. I'm really excited to tune into the civilian season. Really interested to see what the timing of everything is going to be because I think that they're still going to film a celebrity season. It's just going to be two separate things. So are we going to do civilian and then celebrity US and then celebrity UK and then civilian UK? Like, they're now going to have to film all four of those all in the same stretch of time. But I'm curious what the release schedule is going to be like. Are we going to have to wait all the way until January to get one of those seasons? Or is there potential for us to get one of those seasons a little bit sooner? I don't know. But either way, I'm really excited to check out the civilian season whenever it comes around. I know I said in my intro that I was going to be talking about the reunion, but is there really a lot to talk about? This has got to be by far the worst reunion we've ever had. And I can't decide if it's just because, like, so many of the conversations that were had on the reunion stage are conversations that, like, we've been seeing and hearing for months on social media from these same people. So it was like no new information, no new dialogue, no new discourse. All of these people that had any beef have already been beefing, whether it was directly with each other on socials or like passive aggressively through all of their different press interviews and things like that. There was nothing new brought up. Either that is the problem, or the other problem is that there were a lot of things that were discussed or brought up or whatever that NBC decided to cut from the reunion. Like, I don't remember there being all of these extra filler bits, like the Love Highlands and Fashion Awards. The Fashion Awards, I think, may have been in season three's reunion. I can't remember. That one would not surprise me. But all the other stuff, I was just like, this is very obviously like filler, fluff, unnecessary, like content that we don't need or want. And yeah, it was really kind of a letdown of a reunion. I did think that the best part of the reunion all night was Rob C calling Jam Jam a pick-me gamer. And I watched Rob and Pooya talk about the finale and the reunion um on Thursday night after everything was over. And Rob also said that there was a part of that was cut out for the show where after Jam Jam and Rob have their little back and forth real quick, Jam Jam then says, well, let's ask Carolyn, like, why she said what she said, which is something that Rob C and Jam Jam talked about in the exit interview when they kind of got into it. And Carolyn backs up what Rob C says. And it was like, well, like, you definitely said those things. That's definitely why I was like saying to keep an eye on him. And Ron Funches also like co-signed that as well and was like, he was definitely talking about you. So I wish that would have stayed in there because I know that Jam Jam thought that those people were not going to like side with Rob C. And I'm glad that they did because it just confirms what we've all been like most gamer fans have been saying all season is that Jam Jam was in fact a pick me gamer. And it was really disappointing. And it's whatever. The season is over. Excited to see what we get next season. Let me know in the comments, like, who is your dream cast of people for season 4 of The Traitors? I know that recently Devon has talked about how she was supposed to be on this season, but due to a medical emergency, she was unable to. So I hope she gets the call again for season 4. She is someone that I think would clock some traitors quickly. I really hope that she's a faithful. Also, who do we think from the cast is going to end up on Dancing with the Stars? Is it going to be the obvious choice, which would obviously be Rob R? Or is someone else going to get the call? That's also something that I need to know what you guys think. Now, let's chat with Allie about House of Villains. Hey, Allie, how are you?
Hello, I'm Peachy Keen.
Just want to say thank you for joining my YouTube channel. For all of the people watching, Allie and I did go talk about Survivor premiere over on her channel, so make sure you go check out that if you want to know our thoughts on Survivor. But we are going to be talking about House of Villains, all 3 episodes. It's been a busy week. So, yeah, let's just
Yeah,
dive right in.
let's do
Also,
it.
just a real quick disclaimer, we are not going to necessarily be recapping all 3 of these episodes. We are more so having an overall conversation on some of the things that happened in these episodes. I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So, starting with episode 1 though, when they all get to the house, what was your initial thoughts or reactions to the whole Kate, Jackie, and New York bedroom situation?
Wait,
Because,
I have to stop you because you're glossing over a really important piece. Can we not talk
what,
about this dance scene?
girl, I was
How did
gonna
you
just skip
forget?
over it.
How did you
I didn't
forget?
forget.
You know I
I
have
didn't
thoughts about
forget
the
the
dance
dance
scene.
scene. I just want to erase it from my brain. That's the
Oh, well,
problem.
that's where we disagree then, because let's talk about it. I personally thought it was so entertaining, and I hope that they
Oh
continue to
no.
do it for seasons to
Terrible.
come. It was terrible. It was awful. Some of the, but like I have rewound it and rewatched, and you can see who can dance and who can't. If you rewind it, I do highly recommend you focus on Paul.
Terrible.
But Paul, they give cinema of all things, and like they make sure, and we'll talk about this when you get there. But like when there's like moment, so House of Villains is very different from other shows that we watch, and like when there's those moments of like you have to be acting because they do that in House of
Yeah.
Villains. Paul is pulling it off. Like chef's
100%.
kiss to Paul. But yeah, I love the dance scene. I thought it was
I
entertaining, but we
think
can move on now if you don't want to talk about it.
the one thing that I will say in a positive way about the dance scene is I think it really set the tone for how much they're leaning into like
Mm.
ripping off other TV show or reality TV shows because Love Island always starts off with that opening dance scene, and I think that that really just kind of like
Yeah.
set the stage for how this season is going to go based on some other things that they said and did throughout these 3 episodes.
Yeah, because they at this point I'm probably gonna call it HOH because they ripped off and
Right.
they gave him an HOH bedroom
But
that
it's
wasn't really,
different.
it was basically a closet and within a closet, and they gave them a key. And they
Yeah.
literally and Joel McHale's like, and we ripped this off from a show. Like,
Exactly, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And then there's another episode where they say something about the traders as well. But
but to answer your
anyways,
question about Kate, um, what did I think about? Are you talking about when she reached out to shake her hand and she was like, "Who are
no,
you?"
like so when Kate comes in, initially she takes one bed because Jackie hadn't put her stuff on it yet, but Jackie had claimed
Oh,
that bed, and then she ends up being New York's roommate. And to me, my personal opinion, I was surprised at how well Kate handled that whole situation. Because she was very agreeable to each of them no matter what. She was just like, "I'm good with whatever." Like, very much giving the vibe of, like, she's a go with the flow kind of person, and I've
mhm.
never once
Did you
had that
watch
thought
Kate
about Kate.
on did you watch Below Deck? Because I did not.
No.
Okay. I was just wondering if there were any other vibes from that. From my vibe, and this is only from Traders that I
Yeah.
know her from. Um, I I I don't think she's a villain in like the social aspect as much as I would think. I think she's just a villain in the aspect of gaming. Does that make sense? Like I know that her and Rachel had their like little tiff or whatever and
Right.
like things like that. But I, I actually wasn't really shocked by her being agreeable because honestly, it was a fucking bed. She was just like whatever.
Yeah.
Now, if she wanted to have her moment, because we know that most of them are on here to have their
Exactly.
moments and to have their big, I don't know that Kate needs it because she's clearly getting opportunities at this point. You know, like she was on the Traders multiple
Valid.
times. Even on the season before last, she got a guest appearance. Like, I think it's a little different for her than others. I don't know. I wasn't
That
shocked
makes
by it. I
sense.
guess to wrap that
Yeah.
up, that thought up.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt like she sometimes can be very confrontational, and I felt like it was almost the perfect setup for a Kate confrontation, and
Yeah, for
I was
sure.
just surprised that she didn't take the bait, basically.
I
Um,
fully agree and, like, see where you're coming from, though, on that, just to, like, give you credit. I do think that that makes sense to think that based on what we've seen, like I mentioned, with, like, the Rachel of it all from Traders.
yeah.
I only have Traders to really go off of. Um, I also think that at the end of the day, it was just a bid, and so I think she was probably just like, "I don't care." Like, I mean, that would've been me going into it, like, I would've, okay," like, and that made sense. Maybe Jackie really like, that actually did kinda make sense that now Jackie had a over she overreacted in my view with, like, "Oh, so you
Mhm.
took my bed." Um, but I do think Kate's response was very like, "Oh, like, I'll just get this other bed." Now, like you said, it was set up because it ended up being, like, she had to be with New York. I do think had New York not been willing to, like, go with it, we may have seen a different Kate.
That's true. Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
ultimately see New York not to get ahead of you, but we ultimately see New York and Kate, like, kinda, like, bond a little.
Bonding. Yeah,
So,
which was surprising.
I think that maybe, like, it all worked its way out. I also have, like, feelings about New York's statement. I love New York, I really do. Um, but I felt like she
When
was,
Kate
like,
went to shake her
copying.
hand?
Yeah, I felt like she was copying. That's what I thought you were asking about initially, but I thought she was, like, copying the Omarosa thing from a prior season,
Yeah.
and I just, like, felt like it was copycat. I hot take, I love New York, and I will genuinely watch almost anything she's on, whether it's Worst Cooks in America or Flavor of Love, I'm there. But I do think that, like, there's gonna be have to be a time where they stop bringing her back. I think they probably did it this year because it was switching to Peacock, they wanted to make sure people came and watched. I am shocked that she was a full-fledged cast member. I personally thought that she would come in as, like, a coach, or I thought there would be some kind of different element to her.
Twist.
What did you think? Like, did you think she was just a regular cast member?
Yeah, I did, because I just think that at this point, it's kind of become a bit
Mm,
for them, like, and we really see them kind of lean into that in
valid.
the beginning with her, like, being in the bathroom and them having the little montage pretending that she never left the house and da, da, da. So, like, I genuinely don't know. I will be more shocked when she's not there than if she is at
Maybe
this
she'll
point.
just win. Maybe she'll just win, and then we can not have to she'll be the host next year.
Yeah. Hey, well, and my thing is, like, why can't she be the voice? Because Joel is being the, what do they normally call it? The evil voice audio or whatever.
I have
That's
thoughts on
Joel's
that.
voice this year, and I don't
Mhm.
like it.
I have
I
thoughts on
bring
that.
give a voice.
They're saving money. Listen, Joel's already being paid to be there, he's
Yeah.
just gonna do the voice too. There's no sense in paying some other guy. There's no sense in paying a voice actor anymore. Like,
That's true.
I don't know if I'm right or not, it's just my hot take on that.
Of the beds, when Drita comes
Oh, yeah.
in and we figure out that there is one less bed, were you on the same line of thinking as them, that someone was leaving that same night? Or, like, I was not expecting this whole super secret villain room situation. I thought it was going to be an instant elimination kind of thing
I thought
to
so
even out the
too.
bed situation.
I thought so too because did they not do an instant elimination before? Wasn't Teresa Giudice instantly eliminated because they had to put yes, they it wasn't the first episode, but they asked everyone to get into like an order. And
Yes.
you may not have made it that far on season 2, I don't
No.
remember.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
everyone had to get in order, and I don't remember if it was first or last. I really don't remember which. I think it was
Whoever was
last.
the least villainous.
Because Joel was like, "Well, if you were willing to go in that spot, then you're obviously not a, you know." And so,
Yeah.
she was essentially eliminated. So it wasn't. I was thinking of that when that happened, and I know that like he didn't choose, like he didn't put himself in that position of like being last. He was first, so I should have thought that through of like, well, if you're willing to go on a limb, and Tyson does make the comment. He's like, I've played enough of these games to know that squirrel brain, but did you know he was on, like, marriage boot camp?
Not until it was mentioned somewhere. Was it in a preseason interview or something like that?
Something. Yeah, I just figured it out, like, 3 days ago. I was
Yeah.
like, I missed that era." Anyways,
Yeah.
So he was pulling like a lever or whatever it was. Um, and so he was like the first to go out and do something. And he said, when there's shows like this, I have learned, or I've played enough shows like this that I have learned that you need to just, whatever it is, just go for it. Worst case scenario, go home. And so like
Mhm.
that just all like,
Yeah.
you know,
I
they played me with the edit. They played me.
100% because I locked in Tyson as like a winner pick on
You did, yeah.
TikTok, but I will say on my YouTube channel, I did say differently. I said that I think him and Tom, and this is before I even knew that him and Tom were going to be besties. I thought this was out of the realm of possibility, but I was like, for some reason, I'm going to say that Tom and Tyson make it to the end together. But I think
Ugh.
that Tom's going to be the one to get the most votes. They're going to be mad at Tyson, and Tyson's not going to end up winning. Like that was what I predicted on my YouTube channel. And then a couple days later for TikTok, I changed my mind and I was like, no, I think Tyson can charm him and get enough votes. And then when he pulled the lever and Joel said, "You're banished," I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what are we doing here? And knowing that they had too many beds and whatever, I was gagged for a second. I'm not going to lie. They 100% pulled it over on me. And the fact that they also let him like stall for so long where it was like I don't believe that like he was like just standing there being like I don't think I'm really actually banished and he's like no, this is like real. And it's not until he takes a step down the steps that he's like,
Yeah.
"Ah, I'm just kidding."
I saw people in chat BCC commenting and like on the group, like not the host, but the other side. And they were like,
Mhm.
honestly, I was about to stop watching if Tyson really went home. And honestly, I remember I was like at work. I had my phone like sitting up and I was like, what? Like, and I was like, well, fuck. Like, and because at that point, I was actually thinking that Tyson and Paul would form a pretty good alliance at that
Yeah.
going into preseason. Not exactly how we saw it play out precisely, but
Mhm.
that was my anticipation because I was going for like a gamers alliance. I said on a TikTok video that I posted at some point today that like or yesterday because it's now 1 a.m. I I said on a TikTok video yesterday that I felt like preseason Paul and Tyson will work together because of the gamers thing. I keep forgetting drag race drag queens. They are full-fledged gamers, and as a person who's very new to watching Drag Race, have you ever watched Drag Race before?
No.
So, but you know all of the drag queens that have been on shows like Traders and House of
Yeah,
Villains
they're
and stuff.
really they
They're
they're
so
typically
good.
pretty good.
Let me tell you what, I just started watching Drag Race and they form alliances on this show. This show is a mixture of, I know America's Next Top Model is a little bit controversial to say, but it was kind of formed as like a spoof of like, I've now learned, because I said on a video, I was like, this show, I love it, because this was before the documentary came out, but I was like, I love it. It reminds me of America's Next Top Model mixed with Project Runway. And people kept commenting on
Hmm.
my video and they were like, that's exactly what it's supposed to be. And I was like, what? That's how RuPaul originally like kind of spoofed everything.
Conceptualized it.
Conceptualized it. Yeah. And he was just like spoofing these other shows. And so I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. So, but the difference in those shows versus RuPaul's Drag Race, these drag queens, um, they have like pre-gaming alliances, current gaming alliances, like it there are elements of the show where there is like voting aspects amongst each other, and so like alliances become very important. I say this to say like we saw Tiffany Mitchell mention on the Traders reunion
Oh, yeah.
um
For Monet.
that Monet exchange is like she was like honestly like you are honestly more of a gamer than some of us, and like that was shocking for a lot of people to hear, but like I understand what she's saying because not only does Monet have to be a gamer, but Monet also has to have all these additional skills.
Yeah.
Sewing, because it's just like Project Wing, you're making your outfits, artistic design, ability,
Creativity and
conceptualizing,
yeah.
creativity. So like I fully understood what she was saying in that moment, but I have seen a little heat from it. But like I fully understood what she was saying. And so like I say this to say I went into it thinking Paul would align with Tyson because I just know that gamers need to game, right? And I don't know anything about Ashley Money Millionaire Mitchell, whatever.
Mitchell.
I don't know anything, but it's like millionaire. I don't know. She goes by Millionaire. I don't know.
Ashley Millionaire Mitchell.
I don't watch the challenge, so I don't know
Yeah.
her. But my thought was that Tyson and Paul would know each other and they would be cool. I completely forgot that Plain Jane is a gamer too. And not to get ahead of you, but I'm really liking Paul and Plain working together.
Yeah. No, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh, and I think so you could remind me to say this later. I do think my thoughts about Plain being a really good gamer are evidenced by a move that Plain made.
Yeah, 100%,
with Johnny. Yeah,
with Johnny.
Okay. Don't let me forget to talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely on the notebook. But okay, so we see Tyson pull the lever. He's not banished, but he does become the very first supervillain, and also then get the reveal of there being this secret supervillain room. But what's different about this room compared to a Big Brother HOH room is Joel says in the rules that this is Tyson's room until he leaves the house. It's not just week
Did
to
he
week.
say that?
Yes. So when he decides,
I missed that.
Yeah, it's
completely.
so weird to me. When he decides to give that room to Plain, that's Plain's room until like she leaves the house. Or
so what happens when Tyson's eliminated?
I don't know. Joel didn't expound upon it. He just said it's yours until you leave the house.
To me, it sounds more like they were just deciding who's in what bed, and they were ripping off the HOH room, but not really utilizing it because, again, this is slapstick show.
Exactly.
Stupid. So, I love it, but it's stupid.
I know. But then I really was okay because of how much Joel had talked up the fact that they're on Peacock now and they've got a bigger budget and da. I was expecting a lot more from this secret villain room situation.
I mean, I don't know that I really thought one way or the other because honestly, like, it's historically like this show is just dumb. That is one thing that I will say that like I can appreciate how dumb this show is, and like a lot of people were really upset about Jesse last year versus Wes. I personally was Team Jesse. I personally thought his move was the most villainous move of it all, even though he didn't win. I was fine with it. I understand what people say about juries and da 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 da. I don't care. The show is not real to me. However, The Traitors, on the other hand, is a very serious show who are attempting to cast people to play for a serious reason, but they're not casting the right people.
Yeah.
And that is why I say I can enjoy and have fun watching House of Villains, but I cannot enjoy and have fun watching Traitors with like what we had this last season. Joel McHale, I don't know if you've seen it. He was on like Jimmy Fallon or something, and he was like, explain what House of Villains is to me. And he was like, have you seen The Traitors? It's just like that. And in my head, I was like, no, it's Traitors meets Big Brother with more Big Brother in it.
Yeah,
because like the unseriousness of Big Brother is like tenfold on House of Villains.
Exactly. So, did you think that it was a good move for Tyson to give Plain the room, or was it kind of like a non-factor? Because I don't really think that it mattered that much. Like, does it show a little bit of like good grace and good karma and like humbleness? I mean, sure, I guess. But at the end of the day, is this really going to have that much of an impact? In my opinion, no.
My opinion is that Tom needed to room with somebody that wasn't a female.
100%.
Because his girlfriend was going to have it out for him if he didn't. If you notice, Tom's unwilling to even align with females. He is just, I think Tyson was doing his boy a solid. I think that Tom probably got in his ear and was like, you're a married man. I don't know what his situation was on Marriage Boot Camp, but I know he was on Marriage Boot Camp now. So maybe, perhaps, Tyson was like, you're on to something, Paul. What's his name? Tom. You're on to something. Oh, my God. You're on to something, Tom. Like, we should just do this. And I think that played a role. I also think that, like, of all the people, it did make sense to give it to Plain Jane because I did think that his reasoning made sense. Get somebody on your side. Give it to somebody that, like, at that point, Tyson didn't know what Plane was going to do. Was Plane going to constantly be in drag and only want to be filmed in drag? Tyson probably had no idea what Plane's intentions were. We have now seen that Plane, much like we've seen on with other drag queens on this show, sometimes they're in drag, sometimes they're not, which is normal because on Drag Race, they are not constantly in their drag.
Mhm.
But Tyson maybe had no idea what like expectations were and was probably like doing honestly having a human moment, I think, and like giving it to somebody that he thought would genuinely like have a lot of like stuff, a lot of makeup, a lot of like clothing items, and
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit of like human,
I
but
don't think
also
it was
like Tom
necessarily
in his
like
ear.
bad. Yeah.
I don't know
Do
that it
you
ultimately changed anything. I do think that like the exchange that they had where Plane was like, okay, but I'm safe this week. If anything, I think it was also like beneficial of Plane Jane to say that. I do like that it was an initial gratitude moment to potentially have somebody just like willing to work with you, because you've done a gesture for them, you
Yeah.
know?
But then since the lever determined that Tyson was our supervillain of the week, our battle royale challenge works a little bit different in this first episode,
Yeah.
and it's more to determine one team's safety and the other ones are going to be eligible to be put on the hit list. What were your thoughts on this challenge? Because so far, I'm going to be honest, all of these challenges have been a little bit of a disappointment to me.
Hmm.
Like they just don't feel as I
What
don't
was the
know, they
first one
just
again? Which one was the
this
first
is the
one?
one the one where they were like in the office space and they each had like different tasks to complete.
Yeah,
Like
this one I was watching while I was still at work and I kind of zoned out. Honestly, it wasn't that entertaining, but some of the other ones I liked. But this one I wasn't like whatever.
yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't that much of a normally I and you're the same way. I don't care about competitions and whatever on most of the shows that I watch, but these are so
They have an opportunity on this show to like give us a good edit, yeah.
yeah. And I just haven't felt like especially it's the first two challenges where I'm like these are just so
Hmm.
stupid. Like can we
Yeah,
go
because
back to the
the
drawing
poison
board?
tea I really liked.
Yeah, that one I did like.
And the
Okay,
second one
so
was the second one actually, just to like say this, the second one wasn't bad. It just went on too long with the edit of like the acting. But the overall idea of that challenge was very like a big
yes.
like even Paul's like, I've been on Big Brother, I know exactly what's happening. Whereas it took
Mhm.
other people so long to like catch on. That part I enjoyed watching, but the actual like what they were saying and everything, I
The
could care
acting
less.
part, I just yeah, I didn't need to see all of it.
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
care. Um, okay, so the team that loses, that has the players that are eligible for banishment includes Tiffany, Kate, Jackie, Christine, and Paul. So those are the five people that Tyson has to choose from. And ultimately, he ends up choosing Paul, Jackie, and Christine.
Yeah,
What were
and
your
he
initial thoughts here?
my thoughts were that like, well, I mean, I knew that that was going to happen because before that Paul went on his reward challenge,
Hmm.
or excuse me, Tyson went on the reward challenge. I said Paul instead of Tyson. Tyson went on a reward challenge and he was able to choose and he chose Paul and Plane that Paul was going up. And I actually to like go back to the nominations though, the end game nominations, like I think that it was fine to choose Paul, and I think that it was actually a good move for him to just like sit Paul down and talk to him, and I think bringing Plane along was a good move. However, I didn't love that he gave Plane the room and also chose Plane for the reward. I thought that that was a lot, and I think that
Hmm.
you should have thought that part through a little bit because you do have a few gamers in here that may be like, why is he giving, you know what I mean? Like, you gave
Hmm.
Plane the room. Now he's taking Plain Jane on the reward challenge. That
Reward.
was a little much all for one episode. But ultimately, it doesn't backfire. It was just a gamer thought that I had. But you can only choose so many people out of five.
Hmm.
only one is, well, Paul's pronouns are they, them, but Tyson kept talking about how there's only one male in the group. I don't know how Paul
Yeah.
feels about that or not, but it seems like it didn't upset Paul, so I'll just say like that is part of his reasoning.
Episode 1, we've got our nominations of Christine, Jackie, and Paul. Moving into episode 2, a lot of this episode is really centered around the formation of some different alliances within the house. We
Mm.
have Ashley, Johnny, and Paul. We have Tyson and Tom, like really solidifying things even
Yeah.
more. We also see a lot of the women in the house starting, aside from Ashley, starting to like bond and maybe kind of try and pull something together. But we also see that the Ashley, Johnny, Paul wants to also work with the Tyson and Tom situation. I don't know that that's going to work out though. There's already a lot going on there. A lot of too many cooks in the kitchen is what I'm
Definitely, and I
seeing.
think we have to just wait until this settles out. I think Tyson working with Paul, in my opinion, is fake. Tyson working with Tom, in my opinion, is real. And I do think that that's a
Mhm.
better decision for Tyson specifically, even though I hate it because I'm rooting mostly for Paul. I was also willing to root for Tyson, but he has multiple times mentioned how he actually just doesn't care if Paul goes home. I think
Mhm.
that Paul is his bigger threat left at the, I mean, well, there, bigger threat there. And I just think that like it's a good move for Tyson to work with Tom because Tom is a person that he's not really good at game shows. He's really only played the traders. He wasn't that good at it. He was just there. He was just trying to help his PR, help his credibility. He's obviously changed his mind and decided he wanted to be a villain again. That's
Yeah.
fine. People don't like him on this show either, and even Paul mentions it. This may be a episode 3 thing, but like he mentions like people don't really like Tom. So Tom is a person that as long as Tom's willing to ride with you and vote with you and work with you, just keep Tom in your back pocket because that is perfectly a-okay. He is always going to be an easy person to go out the door before you. People don't like
100%.
him. So,
One thing that I like that Tyson's doing with Tom is even though obviously we know Tyson is the strategist in this duo,
he makes Tom think,
making Tom think that he is the one pulling the strings and calling the shots.
yep,
And that's why I think that Tyson and Tom are such a good pairing because Tyson is confident in his own self. He doesn't need like the validation of anyone else to know that he's
he
the
does
one
not.
calling the shots.
Yeah.
Um
I will say this though about Tyson. I don't think I'm as entertained by Tyson as I thought I was going to be.
yeah, so far he's definitely not as
He's so serious, and I should have
villainous.
thought about
Yeah.
that from Survivor, but he is so serious that like it's not giving villain to me, but there's more to come. So,
Yeah, hopefully he steps it up a little bit in these next round of episodes. We'll see. Okay, so um okay, then we get the redemption challenge. This is the one where they do the acting. It's very reminiscent of a Big Brother challenge. Paul picks up on it automatically. Takes Jackie a while to pick up on it. Not sure if Christine ever picked up on it. But ultimately Paul ends up winning the redemption challenge, so they are no longer on the hit list. See some additional strategizing before they go down for banishment. And I do want to know your thoughts on where you think Jackie is Delulu, because I actually think she made a couple of decent, good decisions here before they actually like go in for the votes.
what good decisions do you think she made?
I think it was smart of her to talk about, even though maybe this is what you're referring to, even though what Tom said isn't the way she relayed it to everyone, I think it was smart of her to share the information that someone did have a conversation with her saying they were going to vote, because that did make some people spiral for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that.
I also think it was a good read that like Johnny was clearly only wanting to keep Christine because he's attracted to her. So sharing the information that like she has a boyfriend at home and it was something Christine was keeping from him also, like, I mean, you're grasping at straws, but like, you're going to the right people with right information. You know what I mean?
Grasping at straws is great. I think she's Delulu because I just don't think she understands the game. I don't think she understands the concept. Like you said, she took her forever to catch on to what was going on during that challenge. I also just think that I think what you're saying is yes, she did do the right moves in those moments. However, I think it's incidental. I think she's
Mm,
just a messy person and she's just like spewing information out there. I don't know that she's doing things with intention.
that makes
And I think
sense.
that
That's
that's
valid.
evidenced by like her being upset. I can't remember her exact statement, but like she was essentially mad that Tyson put her. This is what I was going to say on the other, and I didn't know when you wanted me to
Mm,
bring it in, but like Jackie was essentially upset that Tyson put her up for banishment at all, right? And Tyson rebuttals back to her, who did you want it to be? There was only 5 options. So did you want it to be these 2 girls? And she was like, what? She had nothing to say. Why? Because she knew in that moment, like saying another name wouldn't be good. Cause then you'd be like, yeah, I wanted you to put this girl up. Cause realistically, she probably was not wanting any of those people, any of those girls to go up. But ultimately, he did have to make a decision. And like, I do think that even though it is House of Villains and it is like a slapstick show, I think that those moments from Jackie were real and I think she really didn't understand. Like I genuinely think she didn't understand that like she just didn't want to be her. And that's she was upset because it was her. She
hmm.
just didn't want to be her, but she did not understand that like somebody had to go up. Yes, you could be upset that it is you. Valid, I would be too, but like the campaign tactics that she did, yes, those were really good, but they weren't, in my view, they weren't intentional. They were just her telling, you know?
Just being messy.
Talking, just being messy, talking shit, which is fine. That is what I'm here for to watch House of Villains. But if you wanted me to analyze the gameplay, I think she's Delulu. I think she doesn't know why she's here. I think other people on the cast kind of noticed it and they were just like, yeah, let's just get her out of here. She was an easy I when I saw who was up for banishment, those 5, I immediately was like, "It's Jackie."
Yeah,
Like
I mean, when I made my predictions, I predicted she was first boot, just because
her and that other girl, what's her name? Christine was the other one that I was
Christine
like, it's either Jackie or Christine. I forget.
kind of rounds out episode 2. Moving into episode 3, we start with our Toxic Tea Party Battle Royale challenge. I did like this competition. It's the only one that we've seen so far that I did like. We bring back Victoria from last season.
Which explains so much to me. I'm sorry to cut you off, but this explains so much because she has been so active in chat BCC. And I'm like, why does she care this much?
Yeah,
It's
it's
because she was a
because she's
part of it.
on it.
Because she was having like a whole like watch party and like she was because I was reading her chat BCC. I'm like, why are you hosting a watch party? You're not even she was in it. That's why. That
She
makes
was on
sense. I
it.
don't know why I didn't clock that. I mean, and I knew that people were that's the cadence of this show. People were We
Mhm.
spoiler alert, Josh, we're gonna see him eventually, which means
Yeah,
that Paul definitely makes it.
a while.
If we do not, here's the thing. Spoiler to everyone watching. If you do not see Josh, you do not see Paul go home, which was why I
Yeah.
knew Paul wasn't going home.
Tea Party was fun. It comes down in the end to Tyson and Johnny, and Tyson gives it to Johnny, which, I mean, I feel like when this is the second supervillain of the week, you would look like an idiot
Wait,
if you
I
took it
want
for
to back
yourself.
up because I want to back up though for 1 second. I want to say this. I liked that Paul kind of like walked up to somebody, asked a few questions, kind of played it off, and then immediately like sat it down to Tyson, knowing good and well it wasn't Tyson. I thought that that was a good move on Paul's part
I
because
don't
he did it
remember
with
that.
the.
I'll have to rewatch it.
It was the first one. He did it. It was like one of the first ones. He did it with the intentions of like throwing other people off because he didn't want people to be like he wanted to give Tyson. No, I'm sorry. Back up. Somebody gave it to him, and he knew it wasn't Tyson. And he accused Tyson. He started asking questions to somebody else and accused Tyson, knowing good and well it wasn't Tyson. He knew he was going to lose, but he said he did it with the intentions of like, well, if to what other people would think, if I accuse Tyson, we must not be that close. And I thought that was a
Mm.
good move. Because
Yeah.
we see
Yeah.
some people, like the money millionaire Mitchell girl, whatever her name is, she catches on, and Drita catches on to like closeness of people.
Yes. I've been surprised at how much Drita has caught on to things. I forgot to mention this because
I
in
forgot
episode
who Drita even was. I used to watch Mob Wives. I don't know if you watched it, but like I completely
mm-mm.
forgot. The only person I really even remember is Big Ange. So like I honestly forgot everybody. Drita, as I'm watching her, I'm like remembering Mob Wives, and I'm like, that girl was a baddie. She was so bad.
Well, she like I remember I forgot to mention it in episode 2 when no, it's in this episode actually. Because Johnny wins this supervillain
Yes.
challenge and he selects Tom and Drita to go on the outing with him.
Mm.
And so they
Hmm.
go to the like paint party thing. I'll just like move on to there because it's next anyways. But um it's during this outing that Johnny floats the idea of using Tom as a pawn in the
Oh
same
yeah.
way that Paul was used as a pawn last week.
And Drita has her moment. Hmm.
Yes, Drita notices how much tension this is causing between the two of them and how hurt Tom looks by like this idea, and she's like, if he's feeling like this already, like they have to have something together. And when she said that, I was like, damn, she's not like some of these other people that they're bringing, like she is clocking some things.
You got to think about it. I think this is the start of some of these mob wives getting on these shows. You got to think about it. They are not housewives. These are mob wives,
Mm-mm.
and that it was like a real show. Like their families were really involved in Mob Connect. Drita has been to prison. Like
Okay. This
I
is
think she
making more
even
sense.
I think she even made a comment about like cuz people, I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah,
watched New
when she
Jersey,
didn't
but
have
they don't
the
say
bed.
prison. They don't say jail. They say when I went away. That's
Hmm.
what Jersey people say.
Yeah. She made some comments about it whenever the bed situation was happening, when she was the one that didn't have the bed,
Mm.
in the very first episode.
Hmm.
But anyways, okay, so I just wanted to say I was surprised by Drita.
She's
I
a
was not
baddie. She's a
familiar with
baddie.
her, but I like her. So
Hmm.
I'm learning.
I will add though, I am surprised that she's as good as she is, like with catching on so quickly to the gaming. I was concerned that she would do too much too fast with her personality.
Mm. So far she seems to be really like
She's
integrating
fitting
well with
in.
everyone.
Yes, she's fitting in. And the Ashley Mitchell, she's seeming to fit in. Like we do see a little bit of a gamers alliance forming,
Yeah,
honestly,
100%.
because she's getting close to Paul and Tyson. And I, like I
Paul
said
and
before,
Johnny.
yes. And like I said before, Tyson, I genuinely think is only really working with Paul. I mean, excuse me, is only really working with Tom.
Yes, I
So
fully
like
agree with
I
that.
think he's kind of like, I think they've got like maybe a gamer's understanding, but
Yeah.
they're all willing to cut certain of those gamers. Like they only have, but
Yeah. Okay, so it's while they're gone at that outing that we get this Joel pizza delivery, and
yeah.
Paul is the one that opens the box, but Tyson and Christine both reach for the little purple hand at the same time, and Tyson like rips it out of Christine's hand. But then after they read the rules of what this right hand twist is, and Tyson realizes that there's going to be some power involved in this because the right hand twist is that you're essentially like a co supervillain, very similar to a co HOH for Big Brother. Um, you lose your vote. You both have to agree on the nominations for the hit list. And Tyson is automatically like, actually, I don't want this, but I'm going to give it to Paul as a show of like trust. I don't know. I feel like if you are slightly working with Johnny and you also know that Johnny and Christine are close, why wouldn't you just give it to Christine, who like
I don't
she's
know,
going to
but
be agreeable?
we're having a lot of trouble already because there's so few people in this cast. there's so many but so few at the same time that
Yeah.
it's really difficult with these large, like, they've got like 4 and 5 people in an alliance. That's actually too many right now.
Yep.
And like Paul, we're seeing this play out because like with Plain Jane, well, Paul's lost his vote now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that he lost his vote. He doesn't have the ability to vote because he's in power. So it actually lessens his numbers, and it was something he didn't even think about, which is funny because it's like, you came from Big Brother, you should know. But I have a side note
Yeah.
question. Total side note question. Do you think that the BB Blockbuster slash BB AI Arena, um, House of Villains was putting 3 people on the block from their first season and eliminating one. Do you think that there's any aspect of like, hey, we could do this
I'm
from the Big
sure.
Brother production? Because even though, yes, House of Villains is copying from others, I was actually thinking about this morning about how ironic it is that that's the
They all
case.
started around the
That is the
same time.
structure of what House of Villains always was.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Plus,
I am sure there's
Jesse was a big notable player on there. Then Jesse comes back and they do that whole villain thing on Big Brother. They
Oh
bring back
yeah, I
Rachel
forgot.
Riley. They bring back Rachel Riley as a big villain. How they Julie Chen painted her as that. They do the villain thing on the finale. I'm just saying, there's a lot of villain on the last season, at least the murder mystery. There was a lot of villain
Yeah.
aspects, and then also,
What was he called?
hmm,
Was he called a villain? The guy No, he was called the mastermind, right?
yeah, it was the mastermind, but it was clearly like a
But I get what
villain.
you're Yeah,
They
I
were
get what you're
literally
saying.
wearing cloaks, like
I
it
know
was like a
everyone
traitors round table type of
Yeah,
looking
everyone
thing.
was clocking it as traitors, but the Jesse tie-in, which I forgot that Jesse was part of the finale situation, it does actually relate more to House of Villains. But what I'm
Hmm.
saying is the BB Blockbuster was a spinoff of AI Arena, which would have been after season 1 of House of
Of House of
Villains.
Villains,
So it even goes back further. Yeah,
and they were doing that format on season
that
1 as
same
well.
structure.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. In this episode, we saw a little bit of it, but we see even more of the Paul and Plain Jane
Hmm. I
friendship
love
and
it.
bonding happening. And I love it
Me too.
so much. And then we get to the hit list.
Mm.
And also, I have to mention before we get here, all throughout this third episode, ever since he becomes the supervillain of the week, Johnny is going around talking about how he's not afraid to put anyone up. He's not afraid to put anyone up. Blah, 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 blah. And he doesn't like Tom. And, if he puts Tom up as a pawn, but then he goes home, I mean, if it happens, it happens. But then we get to the hit list and he nominates New York, Kate, and Plain Jane. And
I
I
was
am
really
annoyed.
annoyed about the Plain Jane. I was really annoyed about the Plain Jane because I just thought that there was a good conversation that occurred between him and Paul, where Paul explained everything to him, and I thought he
Oh,
really understood. But
but also this is the part Plain Jane and Johnny, the offer that Plain Jane makes to Johnny that
and
you
then
wanted to
yes, we
talk
can.
about.
Yeah, so I would love to talk about that.
Go ahead. I agree with you. It shows how much game players the drag queen contestants are.
Yeah. So prior to Plain obviously being on the block, I think Plain was kind of aware that it was a possibility. And she goes up to Johnny and just is like, hey, there's going to be a jury situation. I've seen these previous seasons. If you can keep me safe, I can promise you my jury vote. And that is a true gamer mindset. And Johnny is even taken aback by this and he's like, "Whoa, that is a huge deal for that, for me to guarantee one jury vote." And on top of, so yes, I was frustrated that Plain was put on the block after that interaction because to me, If I was Johnny, that would be a no-brainer. Keep Plane safe, at least for this first week, because you may not be villain again. It may never matter. You know what I mean? Like, it's so
Yeah.
early. Who cares who goes home? You don't want to risk it being Plane. And honestly, I think that's what maybe will happen now that Plane is on the block. But Paul, the situation with Paul talking to Plane, or excuse me, Paul talking to Johnny about Plane, I also thought that there was like a breakthrough with that Johnny also understood at that point. So I'm just not understanding if there was something left off of the edit or if Johnny's just stupid.
I don't know. Like, I feel like Johnny's just too the reason I was saying Johnny was doing all this talking is because I think Johnny is all bark no bite. Because there is way more benefits to not nominating Plane and nominating Tom than the decision that you went with. What there are no benefits of that. Like,
Nobody
you
likes
are
Tom.
all
Nobody likes
nobody
Tom in
likes
there.
Tom, but there's already so much distrust between this group of 5. It is very much Tyson and Tom versus Paul, Ashley, and Johnny. So
Mhm.
who cares if Tyson and Tom get mad at you? This is a ticking time bomb. Why not
Yeah.
let it blow now and salvage your relationship with Plane? I think that's really a lot of what Paul was trying to explain to Johnny, and I think he just does not get it. Does
No, he
not get it at
doesn't.
all.
And also, again, this show is not one of those shows that I give a shit about how much people care about the strategy, because
Yeah.
honestly, the people are not cast to be strategists. They are cast to just backstab each other. So, like, maybe that's what he's doing. Like, oh, they want me to do this, so I'll just do this instead. I don't know. But all I know is it was a bad move, game wise for Johnny, long term commitment wise. Keeping Plane around is the best move. And honestly, I'm worried that Plane goes home out of this lineup. What do you think?
I don't know. Because I think that out of the out of New York, Kate, and Plane, I know that all of these competitions are pretty um damn, what's the word?
You
Equitable.
think Plane could
Um
win the competition? I don't know.
I think
Honestly,
there's
like,
a
I
good
hate to
shot.
see any of these people go, but honestly, now I'm like, as bad as it sounds, New York, baby, you might just need to go. You've had your
I
chance.
think that's who it is. I'll be honest because we see in the sneak peek there's a lot of Kate. So it's not Kate. It's either Plane or New York. I don't know. There is quite a bit of New
Could
York
New
in there.
York
Maybe
have
it
only
is
been
Plane.
contracted to come back for one episode, for 1 week, for the first
Maybe.
3?
I don't know, but I hope it's not Plane because I really have enjoyed her so far. I think that she's really smart, really strategic, and I'm hoping that there's some way that she can stay and that her and Paul can like salvage their little
Fully
working
agree.
relationship. Okay. So that kind of rounds out episode 3. Any last thoughts on House of Villains?
All I have to say is it was not on my bingo card that Plane and Paul would work together, but I absolutely love it. A couple of the things that people said when nominated. So
Mm,
on the last hit list, New York says, she says, don't use my government name, because they kept
government.
calling her Tiffany. She's like, don't use
Yeah.
my government name. I am New York. Kate basically was just like, you fucking suck. And then Plain Jane says that he's a
A
low
lot.
budget Drake. He's a low budget Drake impersonator. Calls him a bitch and a fucking leech. And I loved that. Another moment that I really loved was when when Plain Jane comes out and New York's like, "Oh my gosh, J Lo, where have you been?" And she's like, "Actually, it's Kris Jenner."
Chris Jenner. I was at, but okay, when New York first said, "Oh my god, it's J Lo," we don't see Plain Jane yet, and I was like, "How the fuck is Jennifer Lopez on House of Villains?" Because we don't
Yeah,
see it yet. We just see
I
New
was so
York saying, "I'm like,
confused. Yeah.
why is Jennifer Lopez here? This is so random." But yeah, hilarious.
And then at the first, when they did the block, I'm at this point I'm just using Big Brother references because this is clearly modeled after Big Brother. When they were on the block, the first one, I literally on my notes I put OTB like on the block.
On the block.
So Paul says you gotta you gotta take
Ah,
me on at least 2 dates before you fuck me,
like
and
fuck
that
me.
was Like people like Paul can come out with good like one-liners, whereas Christine is like just talking forever. And I know that they played it out that way, whereas they could have edited other people's down, but I think she really just rambled. And then Jackie says, I don't even know what Jackie said. I can't read my handwriting,
Well, I
but
will
she said
say
something stupid.
I watched the official House of Villains podcast that Tyson is hosting,
Yeah.
and he he has Jackie on there, and they're talking about that first hit list ceremony, and they talk about how like Paul's was just that one line, and then how much Jackie and Christine just rambled and rambled and rambled. Like
Oh,
it actually seems like that was pretty true to the edit based on what they said.
that's fine with me. Also, Jackie Christie, another moment that I really loved of hers was I didn't pack 7 suitcases just to misunderstand or just to
Just to
understand
be
you.
understanding.
Just to be understanding or whatever. I was like,
Yeah. But
anyways,
also,
that
like,
is my
valid
favorite. That
point.
is like why I watch this show are those little one-liners. I truly enjoy them. So
Yeah. Yeah. They're really, really good. I don't know. I'm really excited for this season. I think that it is a pretty good cast. And I just do hope that Tyson kind of steps it up a little bit more.
I don't even care as long as Paul stays. At this point, I just don't want to lose Paul.
Do you want Paul to lose by 1 vote in the end, though? Is that the goal here? Or do you want them to actually win?
I'm okay with them winning or losing by 1 vote in the end. I think the most comical option would be. Here's the thing: if Paul makes it to final 2, it would only be right for the jury to make that.
Literally. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode chatting about the Traitors, House of Villains. Don't forget, if you want to know my thoughts on the Survivor 50 premiere, go check that out over on Allie's channel. Hopefully, Allie and I can do some more of these videos throughout the season for Survivor 50 and House of Villains. Let me know what you guys thought about all the shows down in the comments, and I will see you in another video on Tuesday.